Hi and welcome to Brands Hatch. This is the last race of the season, which is the 6-hour endurance race. The cars are right behind me right now, waiting to start, so let's see how they get on.
Well, it's now something of tradition to end the Lotus season here at Brands Hatch with an endurance race. And this year's 6-hour promises to be bigger and better than ever. A very, very high quality grid, heading off on the formation of that, with the exception the second place car of Michael Lyons, the Go Green racing car, which is struggling to get itself off the line. Away he goes. The rest of the field already on the move, and this is how they're going to line up. Within pole position, Sean Edwards starting the Apex Tubular's Lotus Europa. Alongside him, it's Michael Lyons who starts for John Danby Racing, and then Jamie Stanley first off from Fox Motorsports, with Jack Goff lining up in fourth. Very, very high quality front two rows of the grid. Two classes today, the Lotus Cup class and the Elise Trophy class, giving us a very, very full field of cars ready to do battle for 6 hours around a slippery and slick Brands Hatch Indy circuit. As the pace car pulls in, the rain comes down, the race about to get underway, with Sean Edwards looking to make a good getaway. Jamie Stanley following his wheel tracks, and Michael Lyons again bogging down with some problems. He eventually gets himself back into position as the red lights flash out. The race getting underway here, Brands Hatch, with Sean Edwards streaking the early advantage. Michael Lyons going side by side with Jack Goff into Paddock Hill Bend, then Jamie Stanley in the bright yellow Fox Motorsport car following through in fourth position. Mark Fullerlove in the first of 211s. That's the bright blue number 80 car as they all head through Druids for the first time, with Ollie Hancock right to the head of the Elise Trophy runners down the hill and around Graham Hill Bend. And already Sean Edwards pulling clear of Michael Lyons. Lyons then with Goff and Stanley right on his tail. And that Fox Motorsport car, if you cast your mind back 2 years ago, the fourth place car, winning the inaugural Brands Hatch 1,000-kilometre race, which has evolved into the Lotus 6 Hours for 2012. Coming through then to complete the first lap of the race, and it's Sean Edwards who leads the way, plants his right foot, accelerates through Clark Curve and just balances that Europa perfectly on the throttle, accelerating along the Bramham Straight, already pulling clear of the GT and historic ace Michael Lyons, and then the very, very quick Jack Goff, who's been a star in the Clio Cup this year. A challenge for fourth into Paddock Hill Benders. Fullerlove dives to the inside. Jamie Stanley tries to squeeze through, but he can't quite do it. So Stanley, the former British GT4 champion, prevails in fourth, and then the ex-British Touring Car Championship man, Mark Fullerlove, follows through in fifth position as they then head downhill. And a spin from Marcus Jewell up at Druids. Marcus Jewell's 211 encountering early troubles, and he slips down the pack, running there in sixth position. Ollie Hancock at the head of the Elise Trophy runners. Jewell finds for propulsion, rejoins, but some way down as we see the pass for third position, and Jamie Stanley squeezes the inside Jack Goff, takes the place away from Goff. Now will he be able to hold that into Paddock Hill Bend? Goff in the black car looks to the outside of the yellow car of Jamie Stanley. They both go on the brakes as late as they dare. Stanley able to hold that inside line, lunges through Paddock Hill Bend, and he has sealed that manoeuvre up into third position. Just able to get through. Fullerlove still in close section. Then it's James Littlejohn who's next up as Nigel Ayres in the number 4 car, looking to make the move up the hill into Druids. Through he goes, squeezing past. But this is a replay from a few moments ago in car with Nigel Ayres. A little bit too much enthusiasm with the right foot through Paddock Hill Bend. Does very well to keep out of the gravel trip. Very well it goes either side of him, and so that is why Nigel Ayres speaks about through the field. As into the gravel trap goes Gisela Kietveld, unfortunately, and that could well, and indeed does, prompt a safety car. Car straddling exposed position this early in the race. The only logical call from the event director is to bring out the safety car. Already some of the front runners beginning to immerse themselves in traffic. So let's take a look at the classification. He's Sean Edwards then in the Apex Tubular's Europa racing car, who leads the way from Michael Lyons for John Danby Racing. And then Jack Goff has rejoined the action is Gisela Kietveld. She rejoins, the race gets back underway, and Sean Edwards looks to pull clear of Michael Lyons, who, remember, on the restart cannot make the overtaking manoeuvre until he's past the start and finish line, which he does now. as he looks to swoop through and gain the position. Number 14 car, Simon Dowker, who he was picking his way past. The rest of the field all pushing as quickly as they dare down through Paddock Hill Bend. Jack Goff busy defending from Jamie Stanley. They're going to go either side of Nigel Ayres, in car with Ayres. This is going to be very, very tight for him. Sandwiched out, he keeps the car exactly where he should have done, the consistent line, but Jamie Stanley unable to push his way past Jack Goff as Michael Lyons continues his pursuit. The race leader, Sean Edwards. There's Edwards. The Porsche Carrera Cup start, pulling well clear of Lyons, back in car with Nigel Ayres, who is having a very busy start to the race here today. And Lotus 6 Hours, plenty of action going on ahead of him as he turns into clearways. In shooter Doug Setters as squeezing through the inside line there, gaining the position was Jamie Stanley as he works his way on through the traffic. That was Steve Quick, who he picked his way past in the bright white number 2 car. And then pursuit, there's James Littlejohn trying to chase down Jamie Stanley. Stanley in turn in pursuit of Jack Goff. So very entertaining opening to this race as Ken Savage, that bright yellow number 1 car, fights position. This is always the challenge when you've got these early race safety cars. It does bunch everybody up once more, and then they've really got to be quite tenacious in getting themselves a little bit of clear space. And now that Stanley's in clear air, he's pulling clear of Littlejohn, or attempting to, all the while trying to reel in Jack Goff. There's Mark Fuller flashing his lights as he looks to pick his way up through the order as rejoining the race. Unfortunately, it's Stefan Dobka for Toad Racing. They've encountered some early issues, but head back out on track. As Steve Quick and Ken Savage go side by side, and Savage gets fired into the gravel trap. And well, cast your mind back 12 months ago when they had such a good fight for the Lotus Cup UK title. And that battle resumes here at Brands Hatch. Unfortunately, Savage into the gravel trap. The safety car comes out, but that shouldn't spell the end of the day for Ken Savage. As Marcus Jewell comes into the pits for some refuelling.
Was that your scheduled stop?
No, we've got a gearbox problem, so we put a new gearbox in the car and it's stuck in gear, so that's not a great way to go around in 5th gear. So they're having a look. Maybe we'll get out, maybe not, we'll see.
Frustration for Marcus Jewell, but the super battle coming together on track between Jack Goff and James Littlejohn, the pair of them side by side into Graham Hill Bend, eventually resolving itself in Goff's favour. But as they fight on track, it's back down to the pits, and some bad news for Toad Racing.
Can you explain to us what's happened with the car?
We've had lack of coolants, or we had coolant in the engine and now it's not in the engine. We've had temperature keeps fluctuating, so we think the head gasket's on its way out. So we're going to redo it again, and hopefully about 10 minutes we'll go out again. But we've flushed the whole cooling system and it's still getting hot. So we're into a situation of, well, last throw of the dice, I think, probably.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it goes from there.
More action in the pits. Into the pits comes Chris Yandel, an unscheduled stop for the Lanzante team. So they get to work with the rear of the car coming off. So we go back in car with Nigel Ayres, who seems to be braking very, very late into Druids. And around he goes. And that, well, was never going to be successful. Over optimistic on the brakes, fortunately avoiding contact. He rejoins, and actually, without losing too much time, he's back into the race. Goes Chris Yandel.
Once the engine's done an over rev as a safety, it's blown a fuse, and it puts the car into limp mode, so it comes back very slowly. We've literally changed that, jacked it up just to make sure it will rev cleanly. It's quite a simple thing, really.
Well, drama at the start of the race, but still a very, very close battle between Jack Goff and Jamie Stanley. The pair of them have been nose to tail pretty much throughout the race, ever since those lights went out, as Stanley squirms on the throttle through Clark Curve in pursuit along the Bramham Straight of Jack Goff. At the moment it's Goff, though, who's got his nose ahead. As the pair of them hit the brakes, Paddock Hill Bend, Stanley jigs the inside line, no way through there. It's a very greasy and treacherous circuit, the drizzle really making for a slick surface as the planned pit stops get underway. Now, some of the entries here have got one car and multiple drivers, others have got multiple drivers and multiple cars. So Ollie Hancock is in car 36, and Matthias Radstock heads out in the team's second car. Likewise in the pits, it's Paul Baker who takes his turn as he assumes the number 4 entry from Nigel Ayres. His car wheeled back into the garage for refettling. Meanwhile, Steve Train taking over from Mark Full-Love in his 211, and it's the turn of Chris Randall to assume the cockpit from the race leader Sean Edwards, who's driven an excellent stint. He's got quite a buffer with the Apex Tubulars car, as now Jamie Stanley has moved up ahead of Jack Goff. And will he be able to hold on as they hit the brakes once more into Paddock Hill Bend? Goff looks to the outside, Stanley holds the inside line. The pair of them sprint through the corner up Hailwood Hill, and it's Stanley who's gained the place.
So that's part 1 finished. Should join us for part 2 after the break.